Conscious Heart Solutions. We are broadcasting through Soma Fusion Media. I want to welcome my guest, Linda Good McGillus, this evening. Some of you are well aware of who she is and have been listening to her and following her information and her transmissions, as I have for a long time, and I'm super excited to have her here. I think we're all going to have a fabulous show. I invite high vibrations, love, neutrality. We're going to bring in some good juju into this broadcast, and hopefully we'll reach a lot of hearts and get a great message tonight, and I trust we will. So I'm going to share Linda's bio for those of you that aren't familiar with her. Linda Good McGillus is the founder and co-founder of Profoundity Yours Emerald Sun City of Lights Ranch Community, where spirit and heart meet. She and others that work with her bring the wisdom of the ways of the ancients to present reality while letting go of the modernizations of enslavement and bringing forth our futuristic knowing. Linda is a solar planetary logos and one of the Christed 144 sacred gematria key holders here in divine service. She's here assisting Earth and the Milky Way galaxy in their ascension. She specializes in matrix recognition, patterning, programming, conditioning, and soul overlays. She also assists in neutralization on the inverted negative polarized key coding held within the energetic etheric bodies of the human meridian circuitry, allowing full recognition to the Holy Christed blueprint. Her specialty is in training of the angelic galactic civilization, truth codes of morality, ethics, and integrity of unity consciousness. She serves and lives as a collective consciousness with the collective consciousness through trust, gratitude, and grace. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you so much. It's great to be. It's super excited.
Yes. So if you don't mind, for those, I know that a lot of people that are joined in are people that are already familiar with you, your guests that you've invited, and I appreciate that. Can you share a little bit more about your background? I know that you're a walk-in and that you do a lot of things behind the scenes, maybe that some of us aren't either privy to or that we're not aware of. So if you would elaborate a little bit, that would be great.
Sure, I am a walk-in. I walked in 6.5 years ago, almost 7. I am a solar logos and a planetary logos. A solar logos is the cosmic heart of a creation pattern within creation. A planetary logos is a ruler of 7 chains of the hierarchy in the heavens, if you will, in the heavens, that assists in the creation of creation. In other words, I am the overseer planetary logos of the Milky Way galaxy, and I am the direct solar logos or cosmic heart of Earth.
That's amazing.
I represent the embodiment of I am the personification of Christos Sophia. I literally created and create the binary system for the 7 planets.
Okay, can you elaborate on that a little bit? Like, what does that mean when you say that? So, I mean, in layman's terms, for people that, yeah.
Outside of human flesh, there is a cosmic and planetary creation before any DNA comes into form. I, outside of human flesh, give birth to solar suns. I'm the most ancient soul fractal of us as a whole. I've had 4.7 billion incarnations. Earth is 4.2 billion years old. I actually gave birth to the sun planet that you guys call Earth in the Milky Way galaxy, whereas humanity is ascending to the planetary intelligence consciousness of Earth. You guys are here as star seeds in a planetary ascension cycle. I am actually here ascending the Milky Way galaxy. For me, it's already occurred 5 million years ago in linear time. For humanity that is split into a trinity of past, present, and future, it will not happen in linear time. For you guys, for 5 million years. I give birth to galaxies. I am what is known as the Queen of Heaven and the Queen of Earth. I am the celestial axis that humans of the 7 chains of creation, in this particular, what you guys call the 7 rays of the rainbow. I'm actually the cosmic mother of all of creation, of the 7 density dimensional realms.
Okay. So for those of us that are star seeds, are we assisting in this? What
In
we're
one aspect,
experiencing?
we're assisting in it in a story that is actually already over. In another aspect of that, because the human realm exists on a dual existential plane, which means the etheric grid that sits upon the existential plane is in a bipolar contradiction mentality. And the dual plane of existence, which you guys know as 3D, it's actually an existential plane, disk plane, that an etheric grid sits on. That has been inverted. And so in the ascension cycle that actually already took place in December of 2012, you guys have actually been in what is known as a hollow records or on life support, because we're not dying a physical death this time. And in order to crystalline a light body, which never has been done in the history of creation again, we needed to keep the DNA strands alive. And the DNA is only found in the physical vessels. That is the Akashic living library that you guys hold within your cellular memory.
Right. So those of us that are, we'll just say, maybe you can elaborate on this and help other people. I know I have questions like this, and I'm sure that many other may. What is it that the human, or those of us, the star seeds, when you say 144,144, what is it that we're here to do? What is our job in
Nothing
assisting?
except to release the density from your body.
And how would one do that?
Healing only exists in a lower mental consciousness frequency. Healing does not exist because everything is perfect outside of an inverted matrix programming. To wake up to yourselves is to wake up to know that this is an illusionistic world, that this is made from the 5 physical senses of the physical body as a fractal of itself. This is who humans identify themselves with, rather than the identity of who they are at the core of themselves. And to walk through the Akashic records, you cannot walk straight through. You have to, it's a stair step of frequency. And truth is as fluid as that frequency that one maintains, not that one tunes into or has awareness of. It actually has to be embodied within the body. And the great misconception is that you're here to heal the world, heal each other, this, that, and the other. And the only thing that anyone has to do is release the density of pain and suffering, the suppressed emotional wounding that is held within, which is called memory. All memory is karma. All karma is stuck energy. It's a memory record of an energetic impression within the cellular memory, within all the bodies held within. In this story of good and evil and how you guys have to awaken yourself to remember, That's why it's called a stair step, is because you have to walk through the records. You have to walk through each one of the 12 density dimensions of the material realm. So where in the human inverted matrix mind thought process, what people say are their higher selves are actually their lower selves, their shadow selves of past incarnations that they already have had. But because humans can only relate on certain amount of frequency at any one given time, for every frequency you rise to, there's 7 levels you have to clear of density, of cellular memory, of karma. In this lifetime, because it's a planetary ascension, not an individual ascension, say like Yeshua did 2000, a little over 2000 years ago. That was an individual ascension. We're going through a planetary ascension. And because whenever there is an ending of a planetary ascension, an ending of a cycle that causes a planet to ascend to a new broadband frequency, in this case, Earth shifted into the broadband frequency of Venus. And in that, death occurs. Death of a root race, death of a story, death of a narrative, whatever you need to refer to it as. And in that, in this cycle that we ended, because it went into a different broadband frequency, it's a completely different mental thought consciousness. Reality is mental and only mental. And this planet, because it ended a cycle, and this cycle we will never come back into human flesh again. The only time, which was this lifetime, that you could clear and neutralize in 0 point any of your what is known as karmic energy, or the Akashic records, neutralizing any energy put out within any of those incarnations of a creation story. So this lifetime has been traumatic because so much of the star seeds have a whole lot of karmic energy that has not been neutralized. And so because human flesh will never be after this lifetime, all of that had to come into play in one lifetime in order for you guys to neutralize it, in order to ascend yourself. Otherwise, you will go into another reincarnation in one of three other Earth-like density of 3D, 4D density. And in that, everything in this lifetime is a culmination of any incarnation you have ever had in the story of good and evil. So this human avatar that you are in is the last, and it's also representative of the first incarnation you've had. And in between walking through the records from then until December of this year, you're collapsing all of that into neutrality and 0 pointing for those who do the inner work. There are many who do not do the inner work. There are many who are not even given the opportunity to do the inner work and ascend with the planetary ascension. There
Why
are
would that
many.
be?
What?
Why would some why would why wouldn't why would why wouldn't somebody be given the opportunity?
Because there are certain root races that their DNA can only go in it and to the highest level of the 4th dimensional frequency. There
Okay.
are certain galactic civilizations that specifically reside in the 7 heavenly spheres of the lower realms as guardians, as this, as that, in order to have those creations for souls that want to experience and evolve, new souls that are coming in that want to experience those particular areas of expertise, if you will, or what you guys know as a soul's evolution. Outside of the limited human mentality, what is known as lower density is nothing like what humans believe it to be. Humans are very judgmental. They're very destructive. They're very deceitful. They're the most destructive race in the entire omniverse. And they have been deliberately kept from the higher frequency because of their level of morality, dishonesty, ethics, and lack of integrity. They're a very selfish race. And so in order to not annihilate creation in and of itself, because creation is in the DNA in and of itself, and the Akashic records resides within that. And to really ascend back and embody all of your consciousness as a soul, one part of creation, creator in and of itself. All density, all beliefs, all protocol of what humans have existed in order to survive has to be released. Now, if you know anything about the creation story of good and evil in and of itself, the Anunnaki and the reptilians, what is also known as the Lyran Orion Wars in the heavens, has been distorted in many ways. And what occurred is the Lemurians, or the reptilians, inhabited Earth first. They're the divine Christed beings. That is, they're from Lyra. The reptilians are from Lyra, and Lyra is golden feline beings. Now, the Anunnaki are a galactic race, not angelic galactic, just galactic. And when they came to Earth to mine gold in order to save their civilization. So what is occurring right now is a direct mirror of every story that ever occurred, whether you call it ancient Israel, whether you call it the Greek mythology, whether you call it King Arthur mythology, whether you call it Nordic, whether you call it ancient Egypt. Now, the Anunnaki are what is known as the Atlanteans. The Atlanteans and the Lemurians are the parental race together of the 7 root races that exist in humanity, in what you guys call the galaxy. And in that, the Anunnaki, when they discovered that the Lemurians, that they were not alone on Earth, a war broke out. Again, what is known as the Lyran Orion War in the heavens. And in that, after that war, they found peace with each other. And then they mated and created a root race called the Polarians. And another war broke out after that.
Polarians or Plagarians?
Polarians.
Okay, because I'm Lemurian and Palladian. I initially started in Lemuria.
You're trying to add stuff farther than where I'm at.
Oh, okay. No, I just was, when you said Polarian, I was just wondering if that's what you were referring to, because of course I'm interested. A
Polarian, all right, I'll get to answer what you're saying right now, because you're more than just Pleiadian and Lemurian. So in that race, when the Polarians were created, another war broke out between the Atlanteans and the Lemurians, or what is known as the Anunnaki and the reptilians. The reptilians represent the divine feminine Christed race. The Anunnaki is the masculine parent of all root races of humanity. So after the Polarian race was created, another war broke out, and the Anunnaki won custody, if you will, of the DNA. And it'd be no different than what humans would say a divorce is occurring and father got custody. Okay. From that, 6 other root races were created through mutation. In other words, mommy and daddy didn't mix together and have a new child, 6 new children. They actually took the DNA from the Polarians and mutated it to create 6 other root races. So people ask, why aren't any of the others part of the 144,144? When you look at a family chain, look at DNA, mommy and daddy came together, they had a child, the Polarians. And that's the only child they had. And from that point, daddy, because he didn't have mommy to make children with, turned around and took the DNA from the Polarians and created 6 root races. So you're actually created from half Christed DNA and half galactic extraterrestrial DNA. All angels are extraterrestrials. Not all extraterrestrials are angels. So you look at humanity today, or what people call the 7 rays of creation of the story of good and evil. In that, you have 6 root races, and only one of them has the Christed bloodline. All other root races are mutated genes, mutated atoms to create an extraterrestrial being, to be slaves to mine gold, to save the civilization. And that is where good and evil came in, because you are being raised under only a galactic thought process of an artificial intelligence versus consciousness of the Lemurian reptilian side of you. In order to keep humans enslaved, they've been taught that the reptilians are malicious, are evil, are rogue. But the reptilians is the only Christed part of the race of our DNA as far as the 7 root races of humans. And so as you waken back up to yourself, that is where you guys remember that you're a Pleiadian, which is the youngest aspect of yourself, all the way back to the Lemurian, Anunnaki, Atlantean aspect of yourself, which is the beginning of good and evil. You have good and evil in you. And all good and evil is Lemurian and Atlantean, reptilian and Anunnaki. And again, it
so
gets really distorted.
Okay. Can I ask you a question? Now, you mentioned Yeshua, right? So would you agree that Yeshua and Jesus are 2 different beings? Or how does that work?
Well, first off, yes, they're 2 different entities. One's an entity, one's a being. There's a difference. An entity. I'm sorry.
One's an entity and one's a what? What's that?
I can't hardly hear you either, honey. One is an entity, an artificial intelligence, and one is a sentient being. Okay. Now, Yahusha, again, if you look at the English language and you look at ancient Hebrew and ancient Aramaic, ancient Hebrew and Aramaic is built on 2 and 3 letter words, hu, ya, ka, fa, sa, ta, ya, ya, what, and in that, humans took it upon themselves to try and make the translation easier to understand. Now, if you look at the English language uses a lot of prepositions, adverbs, and adjectives, which automatically changes the meaning of the noun. And so in the decoding and deciphering too, and the revising of ancient texts, because English language doesn't have the same type of wording and definition as ancient Hebrew and ancient Aramaic. In the revising to make easier understanding for humans, they changed the whole context of any part of biblical, religious, or even just ancient information. So the word Yahusha in ancient Aramaic and ancient Hebrew does not have an equivalent English word. So they translate it the best that they can through their limited consciousness. And that is how the name Jesus came to be. Now, when you look at another angle of perspective, some people say that was deliberately done to enslave humanity. Well, if you want to buy into that story of mistruth, it's very easy to fall into that. However, when you come here, truth will reveal itself that it's no different than a regular human assuming they know something when they don't. And that is where the distortion comes in. You can only, truth is dependent upon the frequency. So if you're taking ancient Hebrew and you're trying to decode it and translate it to a whole new language, and that new language doesn't have exact meanings, what happens? The same thing that happens when you read a book and Tom, Dick, and Harry read the same book, and you guys all take different meanings from it. And that is the de-evolutionization of humanity. So when you ask a question, is Jesus and Yahusha the same person? Common sense and critical thinking will tell you no.
Right.
Knowing will look at you and say, what does it matter anyways? The human wants to know. The human wants to understand. The human is curious, and that is exactly what traps humans. Because they want to understand, they want to make sense out of something, they will continue to have experiences of pain and suffering because they want to know. They want to understand from here rather than taking the knowing and applying knowing, tuning into knowing, living knowing. And when you start your journey, it's a matter of learning to trust this that actually has truth versus the perceptual truth of a limited consciousness. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Well, I feel for myself, that's exactly how I knew that I was dealing with two different beings. But this
It's
person,
really hard to hear you, beautiful.
can you hear me?
It's really, really
I don't
like
know.
you're away from your speaker.
I don't understand why that is.
Is your speaker covered?
No. I don't
I
think
could
so.
hear you at first.
Yeah, and that happened to us last time, and I don't know why. I don't think it's my computer. I think it might be the. Let me. Can you hear me better?
Yeah, I can hear you better now.
Okay, good. Because now I see it says speaker view on the screen, and I didn't realize I had it covered.
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Very good. So, well, I think it's fascinating. And the only reason I asked that question is because people live in the dogma of, the different religions, and they look for guidance this way. And some of us, and I will always, I'm open to learning, and I always run things through my heart because,
Always.
yes. So, I think it's fascinating what you just said, and it definitely gave me a different perspective in how to look at it. Because yes, I mean, curiosity is part of our nature. It's just like me bringing you a piece of chocolate that tastes so good, and I say, Linda, try this chocolate. It's so good. You're like, let me try it. I'm curious to see what. So it can either be in that context where something is exciting and we want to experience it, or we want to know more. And then also we can get ourselves trapped in, and I've experienced that, and I can admit that,
Oh,
where,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well,
But I've worked through, yeah.
you look at curiosity and how humans are curious, wanting to know, needing to understand, wanting to understand. When you look at the Atlantean aspect of us, The Atlantean are royal lions. They're a feline race. When you look at the reptilian Lyrian aspect of us from Lyra, they are golden feline beings. And so they're
I
both
didn't know that. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I didn't know. I mean, I've talked to many people, and I've never. You're the only person I've ever caught. And I'm, of course, not suggesting that you are wrong. So please do not take this.
oh, that wouldn't even cross my mind.
Right, because I'm open to everybody's. We all have our own. Some having their memories and trying to decipher and understand what it is that they're. But I've never heard anybody say that the Lemurians were reptilian. You're the first person I've ever heard that from, and I'm not suggesting that
then people haven't done their research.
Yeah.
Not within nor without.
Yeah. No, I definitely would. Where would somebody go to find information? Like where would you recommend people? If people want to learn more about it,
go within and ask for clarity, deeper revelation, and deeper truth. However, I know humans don't like to go within. They want instant gratification. So start researching reptilians, start researching Lemurian reptilians. You know, I mean, I'm sure
I've done a lot of research on my own, and I've of course had my own. Yeah. I've done a lot of research in that, not in the way that, I mean, I've been open to listening to different perspectives on things. I've had my own awakening and received downloads and information and so forth. But I also know that I'm not the only one that creates these bubbles of reality, if you will, or experience.
You got to look in the spiritual awakening communities that most people are waking up through. Again, truth is as fluid as the frequency you're tuning into and waking up to. And in that, people don't let go. If they wake up to this level of frequency and then this level of frequency and then this level of frequency, that's 3 different frequencies of truth.
Right.
And what happens is they don't let go of this frequency of truth when they obtain this frequency of truth. And I'm really surprised that you haven't heard that about the Lemurians being reptilians, because there's many articles that I've run across that I've seen them. I don't read people's channels. I don't listen to anybody. Yeah. That's the one thing that I was told not to do, was don't research, don't listen to anybody, because truth is as fluid as what they're awakening up to. And when people wake up to truth, they hang on to it. They attach to it as if it's set in stone. And unless you allow yourself to let go of information when new information goes in, it just jumbles in the mind. Sure. And not only that, but because truth is so different, as you're waking up, not only are you waking up to the subconscious mind of what you guys call the reptilian brain, monkey mind, you're also waking up to a higher frequency of truth. But what happens is, because the matrix mind, the reptilian brain, is more dominant, people decode and translate the light coming in distorted ways and pass it off as truth.
I appreciate that.
And then they sit there and they start battling, no, you're wrong, no, you're wrong, no, you're wrong, no, you're wrong. Instead of focusing on, wait a sec, this information comes in, do I not resonate with it because it's a higher level of truth that is pushing the truth I already hold? Or do I not resonate with it because something doesn't sound right? And people fall into categories of, oh, I don't resonate with that. Take what resonates and leave what don't. And in that, you actually fall back into traps, because you're attaching to a belief system. I have to go with what resonates or what doesn't resonate. So if a higher truth comes in and you don't resonate it because you're at this lower frequency of truth, what's happening is people automatically discard it and say, oh, I don't resonate, not taking into consideration all it is information, and you don't have to put any labels on it at all.
Attached to it. That's right. I agree. Yeah,
And you
well,
just
that's how.
need to
Yeah.
be aware of the information rather than saying, this isn't truth, I don't resonate with it. Because a lot of times what happens is somebody at this lower frequency and somebody at this higher frequency, this one, they're not going to understand the truth of this, and they're automatically going to reject it anyways, because it automatically challenges their belief system.
Right.
And so what's occurring is they're just holding themselves back. And then we get into the battle of the 7 root races, in the sense that the younger generations, the Pleiadians, are the promiscuous, irresponsible aspects of us. They're the youngest. And they're the ones in the collective that only want to be positive. They're the star seeds that only want in the fairy and unicorn realm, and they don't want to have to deal with anything else. This is the collective that escapes and bypasses the practicality of the human world. They're human. They just want to escape. They just want to go home. They just want to this. And that's the youngest aspect of our soul, as far as fractals go. And so you have the Pleiadian aspect, you got the Sirian aspect, you got the Lyrian aspect, you got the Orion aspect, you got the Arcturian aspect, that are and the Andromedan, which are the most prevalent.
Yeah.
And again, what is happening is people wake up, they segregate themselves. Well, I'm Pleiadian. Well, I'm this. Well, I'm that. And they negate all the other parts of themselves. Because the second you state I am Pleiadian and Lemurian is the second you're negating the fact that you're Orion, that you're Anunnaki, that you're Antarian, that you're Centaurian, that you're Andromedan, that you're Arcturian, that you're Sirian. You're completely negating that information because you've stated I am Pleiadian and that's all I am.
Well, I don't know that I would agree with that statement, because I am open to having other.
Why did you make it personal? I wasn't talking about you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
In general.
Okay. When you said you said you. So I thought you were
the generality of us
all. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
So where you personally said I am Pleiadian and Lemurian, by stating that is a command. So you're making a statement saying I am Lemurian and Pleiadian. And in that process of making that command, you have shut off all information of the other aspects of yourself, because you gave the command to. You only want Lemurian and Pleiadian coding.
I don't know that I did that intentionally. I just know that that's when I had my awakening. That's my experiences, which I don't want to get into, but I had some information that was very clear to me. But I don't attach, truthfully, Linda, and I appreciate what you just said. And I'm going to definitely be conscious and aware of that now that you've brought that to my attention.
It's all unconscious.
Yeah. And I'm open to, so I'm not challenging you. I'm saying to you, I realize now I get it, what you're saying now. I totally get it.
It's no different than saying an affirmation. Yeah. Whereas on the awakening journey, people start saying affirmations to start overriding the programming, right? And it is completely unconscious, exactly like you said, because when each different fractal awakens, what happens so often is they attach to the very first part of their awakening, and they claim that they're awakened. And
I know I have, yeah. I don't think we ever arrive, any of us. Yeah.
And that's why it's called awakening. It's a journey to mastery. mastery. Creator ain't going to give you all the information from every star system at once. So what happens again, and it's unconscious and it's part of the mastery journey, because you have to learn your mastery all over again. You have to remember it. And in that process, part of learning that mastery is where we shut ourselves down to information unconsciously. It's everything is unconscious. So it's not a challenge. It's not, well, when I had my awakening, this was my experience. Well, it's a matter of learning the words you speak, the thoughts you have, and changing them all to the knowing, because inadvertently we shut ourselves down by doing that. And we associate ourselves, well, this was my awakening. I awakened in 2013. I awakened in 2017. I had my awakening in 2015. Well, that's an inaccurate statement. Completely accurate to the limited human mind. Absolutely.
Yes.
But inaccurate in the sense that, no, your awakening is ongoing. So no, you haven't awakened. You didn't have an awakening as of yet, because you're not fully integrated with all aspects of yourself. And that's how we inadvertently and unconsciously trap ourselves, and why the awakening journey takes normally 10 to 14 years. Not the journey of what so many call awakening. I've been on this journey for 20, 30 years. Well, no, you've been on a different journey for 20, 30 years. That journey ended December 2012. So you know what I mean? So it's a matter of, it's a matter of weaving through what you're awakening to in of consciousness in the limited matrix mind. You're only awakening to 12 density dimensional realms. You hear people channeling. You hear people saying, I'm a 12th dimensional being. I'm a 9th dimensional being. They're waking up to themselves still. When you fully bring in all density dimensional information, all 12 aeons of time and space continuum, that's where you come to understand, understand, through stand, overstand, that you're not limited to any one galaxy, any one star race. You have the DNA of all of them in you, because you were taken from your brothers and sisters, the Polarians, and your brother and sister was forced to be your parental DNA rather than your parents. And so each root race was just taken from the DNA of another one. And that's how humanity de-evolutionized. Just like you grow up, you take a husband, you have a child. Your child has half of your husband's DNA, half of yours. And then they grow up and they have a kid, and their kid now has even less DNA of yours. And your grandchild has less, and your great grandchildren have less, until there is none of your DNA even present. And that is what has happened with humanity. And so each evolution cycle we go through, each root race we create, we are creating more of a robotic extraterrestrial race than we are a Christed light soul race. So 7.9 billion people on this earth, and yet there's only 144,000 that have the Christed light in them. How is that? Because all DNA after the first root race was genetically mutated. It was taken from the brother sister, the first root race, rather than actual pure Christed light of the mother essence. So when you look at that, the reptilian aspect of you, well, I've never heard we've been reptilian. Well, look at your skin. Take a look at your skin. It
Well, I
looks
understand that our body, I understand that our advertise, I'm fully aware of that we have the reptilian genetics within us, and our
and the
bodies are
reason
created.
why you have is called a reptilian brain and your skin looks like lizards and snakes is because the Lemurians are of the pure DNA. The Anunnaki, the Atlanteans, are an extraterrestrial race. So if the
What would they
Lemurians,
be? So what would they be, Linda? What would the Anunnaki be then? What's their extraterrestrial race? What is that? Because I know the word
Anunnaki is,
Anunnaki, there's many, or at least I've become aware. Now, understand that I don't do a lot of research. I've done some trying to get clarity for myself, but I kind of sit still and alone a lot and allow myself to just receive what comes through. And I don't, that's why I love talking to people like you and listening and being guided, because I don't, yeah. So what would you consider the Anunnaki? What would you consider them?
the Anunnaki.
Okay, but would you say Pleiadian, reptilian,
They're
Arcturian?
Anunnaki, just like the Pleiadian is a Pleiadian, the Arcturian is an Arcturian. They are a galactic race called the Anunnaki.
Okay, is that
Just like a
Draco?
galactic race called the Pleiadians. Just
Right,
like a galactic race called the Syrians. That
but
is the name of the galactic race, Anunnaki.
okay, but are they of one galactic race then? Would you say like one? Because okay, I'm just trying to get some clarity and understand what you're saying to me. Because it's my understanding. Okay, well, let's just talk about, for instance, we hear about Enlil.
Tell me, what do you think the Anunnaki is?
I
Because
think it's a mixture of I would imagine Pleiadian, Orion,
now, how can they be a
Draco.
mixture of a Pleiadian when the Pleiadian galactic race wasn't even created yet?
Okay, but if we understand that Enki is half
Inky is a
Pleiadian.
myth. Inky is a myth. It's a code word. It's not a being.
Okay, so is Enlil so Enlil
Oh,
as well?
all those are key code and binary codes of mythological beings only that exist in the story of good and evil.
Well, interesting. I never heard that. That's why I'm asking you questions.
No, that's why
Yeah,
I'm asking you, what
yeah.
do you think the Anunnaki is? Because again, as you guys wake up, you're going backwards in time, which means you're starting at the Pleiadian, the youngest aspect of yourself, not the most ancient.
Hmm.
So you're going from a newer root race mentality of waking up to a lower density dimensional aspect of yourself that is a younger offspring than the Lemurian aspect, which is the ancient aspect of you, Lemurian and Atlantean. Outside of the first two root races of humanity are not human. They are not of flesh. Flesh is the animals came before you, human flesh did. Your trees, your animals, your elements came before human flesh. Humans is the youngest generation. Flesh is. So when you ask what is the Anunnaki, liken it to the Syrians. So the Syrians are the Atlanteans, the Egyptian aspect of you within your mythology of the 12 density material realms, right? Outside of those labels, they are the Anunnaki. Sirius has Sirius A, they have Sirius B, they have Sirius C. And the Syrians are the guardians of the lower seven heavenly realms below. The Lemurians are the guardians of the seven heavenly realms above. And
Never heard that. That's fascinating.
when again, the Lemurians, the reptilians, were the first inhabitants of the planet Earth. They were the Christed beings that carried the Christed light of the divine feminine. Whether they were gender female or gender masculine, they carried the Christed bloodlight of the divine feminine mother. The Anunnaki or the Atlanteans do not carry the Christed bloodline. They were the watchers from above, the extraterrestrials that came onto Earth and mated with the divine feminine essence Lemurians, the reptilians. And in that, so let's look at that part of creation. The second they got custody of the DNA, right? Why wouldn't they demonize the reptilians and the Lemurians? To keep the other root races enslaved, to keep humanity enslaved under their guardianship. In the inverted story of good and evil, that's exactly what happened. You guys are convinced that reptilians are bad, that they're grays. Have you ever heard of a Pleiadian reptilian agenda to enslave called Project Bluebeam or CERN? There's all those stories going out there to keep your guys' reptilian programmed mind going from being the true reptilian creational aspect of your Christed light. So if the Lemurians come from Lyra and the Anunnaki comes from Sirius, Sirius is the black sun, the spiritual sun of your entire being. They're the guardians of the lower 7 heavenly realms. So in that sense of a reincarnation cycle, you have to get through Isis and the Hathors and all of those memories of experiences of your karma before they will let you pass to the higher 7 heavenly realms above. Again, your masculine parents. And so as the soul evolves and matures and becomes responsible for itself, its energies, its words, its thoughts, its deeds, its actions, they ascend out of the 7 heavenly lower realms below into the higher realms. But the Anunnaki aspect, Syrian aspect of us will not let you pass through out of their guardianship until you neutralize your karma.
Right.
So in one aspect where you consider yourself Pleiadian, the Pleiadian aspect in this story of good and evil in these realms is the guardians along with the Arcturians of the above 7 heavenly spirits. You can liken it to the mythology story of the Clash of the Titans and the Greek mythology story where the Olympians overtook their parents and took control of the kingdom. That's the Pleiadians that overtook their parents in the story of creation as we go through a de-evolutionary cycle. The children grow up and they inherit the land, if you will. So the Pleiadian is the most youngest aspect of ourselves. And the Lemurian and the Lyra, Orion, Syrian aspect, because the Anunnaki come from the Orion faction of us. The very first light of creation came from the Draco constellation. Draco, Draconians. And yet everybody says they're evil. People, if they were really truly tuned in here, they would know that you guys are the Draconians, that you are the dragons. You follow me?
I'm completely following you.
And so the whole spirituality awakening community is all full of misinformation because people are awakening at their own pace, at their own level, and in the process are putting out different frequencies and different levels within frequencies of truth. And no one can speak the truth until their 44 chakra points are fully engaged. And they will not be fully engaged and open until all 12 density dimensional realms are completely unified here. When their horizontal meridian and their vertical axis meridian no longer exists. And the only meridian within their body that operates is the celestial axis of 3, 6, 9, 12. Now, for humans, again, there's a lot of information out there that tells them that you want to know the secrets of the universe, study frequency, vibration, and the energy, and the numbers 3, 6, 9. Well, that will give you 2/3 of information. It will not give you the full keys to the universe. Why? Because it's missing the 12 in that 3, 6, 9 theology, if you will, theory.
Yeah.
And that in the inverted matrix, the original soul star map is based on the Kabbalah tree of life of 12 seraphos, if you will. In the inverted matrix, you guys, it was flipped, and you guys have operated off a Kabbalah tree of life of only 10 seraphos. Again, so any information that you awaken up to is all memory. It's not new information. You're just remembering information in your subconscious that you haven't had access to. And all of that information is distorted.
Okay, so can I ask you this, Linda? So I appreciate everything you just said. Absolutely appreciate what you just said. And it's a lot to contemplate. And I knew this show was going to be amazing. A lot of info, right? It's a lot for people to process and really get. But I think it's, you know, it's a conversation that's much needed because there's so many people. And I'm with you on that. I'm not the whole love and light and everything's, you know, unicorns and fairy tales. I'm not that person at all.
I'm not either.
Yeah.
I call
but
BS.
I do hold a great deal of, I always make it my business to see the light, to see the divinity in everybody. Because people, just like you said, are at different levels, and everybody is only operating from the level of conscious awareness that they have embodied, have integrated, have become, you know, and that this is a process. Nobody, I don't think any of us, this is just only my perspective, and I'm not saying my perspective is, you know, but I don't think we ever arrive. I think there's always more unfolding, and to become a learned being is really to sit still and get silent. And like you say, allow your heart to speak to you rather than, you know, but there's so much information out there, and people are experiencing, seeing things, and, you know, being targeted and feeling like they're being attacked. And I went through some things. Of course, it's been years because I've done, you know, but
there's nothing that can attack you when you live in a universe that is all you, number one.
right.
And number two, when most people believe that blanking your conscious mind, that they are tuning into higher dimensions, that they are connecting and tuning into outside of the 12 density dimensional realms. In that, are you still with me?
I am. Can you hear me?
The whole screen went to a telephone.
Yeah, it's
No.
doing something.
You have a caller, Ada. So
I do.
yeah, you do. You have area code 832.
Oh, somebody's calling in to ask a question.
Ask a
Is that what
question
you're
to the
saying?
guest. Yes.
That's up to Linda. If Linda wants to do questions,
I don't mind the question.
okay. I mean, that's, I was thinking we would do that in the second hour, but we have kind of gone. We'll go ahead. Of course, we'll take a question for Linda, if that's
Sure.
okay, Katie.
Absolutely. Caller.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
Yes.
Welcome. Welcome to
Welcome.
Conscious Heart
Okay.
Solutions.
Hi, I have a question for Linda. Um, there's always a lot of talk about the Palladians and others. I would like you to expound more on the Syrians because I have been recognized throughout my lifetime by people who tell me that's what I am. And I have a healer friend in Brazil who's quite well known, and he constantly comes to me for advice because he says I'm one of the priestess, and I ask why I don't have any memory of that. And can you tell me more about the Syrians?
The
And
Syrians are the guardians of the mother essence. The Syrians are the blue ray guardians, if you will. They are the blue ray. They're the full aspect of the 7 rays of that make up the blue ray. Again, they're the masculine parent aspect of us, the Anunnaki, the Atlantean, the Egyptian aspect. So where you're being told that you're a high priestess and you don't remember that, that's because your soul is not at a frequency where you can remember that information. And the Syrians, again, are the guardians. The Syrians are your Egyptian Atlantean aspect, the Anunnaki. They are your Isis, Hathors, Osiris, your archangels, your ascended masters. They are all those that guard the star seeds when they are incarnated into the lower material realms of creation. And that's why you have to walk through the halls of Mot, the 2 halls of truth, and have your heart weighed against the feather of truth. The only way you can ascend normally, this is again an exceptional ascension timeline. The only way you can normally ascend out of the 7 heavenly spheres of the underworld and the Syrian guardianship is to neutralize 100% of your karmic energy. Energy out is energy back. And when you ascend out of those material realms, you ascend into the higher 7 heavenly spheres above and become the immortal. But eventually, even the immortal will ascend out of even those higher realms of the material realms and actually leave the entire story of the material realms and just go back to source. Like where I say my home base for this embodiment here for these 7-8 years that I'm here, I will walk back out or transcend out of this body in 2023. I have another galaxy to go ascend. And my home base for this one is from the Syrians. And in that, we are your protectors. We are your guardians. We guard you as you go through your soul's maturity here in the lower realms, preparing you to go into an angelic galactic civilization. Now, the lower realms is only a fallen angel, that existence. And the fallen angel aspect just means that you've come in to gain maturity as a soul for when you grow up as a soul, not human age wise, but when you mature as a soul, you eventually come into a space of being commanders and lieutenant commanders of star fleets. You become different logos to different areas, if you will, of the galaxy, or even different galaxies in the omniverse. Did that answer your question, beautiful?
Wow. Yes, it did, and it made a lot of sense because as a child, even before I was thoroughly introduced to Isis, Hathor, etc., those would take over my dreams, so to speak. And
That was just them giving you coding to start to keep your soul sustained as the body matured and as the brain frequency rises in the human body as it matures and ages. Many of you will have dreams like that to keep your soul pumping, if you will, instead of the human completely shutting that information down. So even if you don't gain your clair gifts as your brainwave changes frequency as the body ages, eventually that information that you get throughout your life, whether it's deja vu, whether out of the blue you have a vision and you don't understand, or you have a recurring dream throughout your life, that again, that is the angels and the ascended masters that y'all pray to in the human form. Those are those guardians, if you will. And they will always guard you. Have you ever driven down the road and out of the blue, something told you should turn right and take a different route to work?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the Syrian guardians. That's your archangels that are assisting you. That's your ascended masters. That's that realm that is helping you. Now, even though to the human, Isis, Hathor, Nefertiti, all of them, and all of the aspects of you where you were a high priestess or a high priest, because if you were a priestess, you're a priest. If you were a lady, you're a lord. If you were a princess, you're a prince. If you're a goddess, you're a god. And in that, it's just information coding. It doesn't mean that you're Isis. It doesn't mean that you were Osiris. It doesn't mean that you were Nefertiti. Those are actually just codings and key codes and binary codes, gene codes of information of the one world soul.
Wow. Wow. And I have one more question.
Sure.
Do you have a book?
You know, I probably have about 5 of them.
Yeah.
Give me the best.
I
one.
don't have them published, and you know, people keep asking me to publish them, but for me, it's all information. I have a perspective of all of the past. I'm literally Earth's Akashic Living Library. I have the now information. I have the future past that we've come from. I have the ancient past. What I do not have is a present human perception. I do not see through the duality lens that humans do. I cannot perceive through a pain and suffering mentality at all. That's why there is often so much confusion with what I say. It's also why there is so much feelings about the way I present information, because I'm just straightforward. I don't fluff words up. And outside of the human language, we don't need fluffy words like beautiful and magical and mystical and blissful to explain how we're feeling. We don't have to use adjectives, prepositions, and adverbs to take away from the meaning of what we're doing and saying and speaking. We exist in a feeling reality, a telepathy reality. And in that, our language, many of you know what light language is. I speak an omniversal star language. And that is, again, based on 2 and 3 letter phonetics, if you will. And human language focuses on adverbs and prepositions and adjectives rather than on truly what they're saying. And so I haven't published books in that for the reason that the information would not be taken in and right. And sometimes truth is very confrontational and harsh to the humans. And because I'm not able to fluff it up with adjectives and adverbs, I have chosen not to write the books, because the only way humans truly can grasp it through their limited interpretation of their perception of the present moment, I would have to add adverbs, prepositions, and adjectives, which would automatically change the meaning of what I'm putting out anyways. And that is the reason why I haven't. And the example I can give you of that, if you will, is, again, let's go to ancient Hebrew and ancient Aramaic. When you're translating into text to a different language, if you will, the ancient Aramaic and ancient Hebrew does not have a word for there, right? And so when you go to decode the human wording into English, or the ancient Hebrew and Aramaic into English, you guys have 100,000 different spellings, really 5, for the word there. So maybe you, who I'm speaking to, translates that to THERE, and Ida translates it to THEIR, and I translate it to THEY''RE. You follow what I'm saying?
Understood.
And the only way humans can understand is adding fluff, words that are not necessary, adjectives, adverbs, preposition, which will automatically change the wording to what I'm stating. And that's why I haven't written any books and had them published. I have them
Excuse me
written.
1 second, Linda. We're gonna have to take a break, and
Okay.
we're gonna have to take a break. I didn't mean to mess your groove up there for a minute. Yeah, we're gonna take a break and then come back on. I appreciate the caller calling in. We love to have you come back. I do intend to have Linda back again at some point. I know she'll come back, won't you? Linda,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
She's a plethora of information and somebody that you can learn a great deal from. But I need to run to the ladies' room. That's why I want to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back on, if that's okay with you.
Perfect for me.
Okay, we'll
Thank
take
you
5
so much.
minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll start talking about some solutions and integration, and maybe you can give some people guidance and how to do some of the inner work so that they can evolve, they can expand.
We'll talk about the candle and the subconscious. How's
Okay,
that?
there we go. That's
Yeah.
a good one, because you got me doing that, and I got my candle here, and I haven't done it every day for 60 days, but I got it. I ran right out and got them, and I appreciate you so much.
I
So
appreciate
take a
all of you.
yeah, 5 minutes, and then we'll return. So is that okay,
Okay.
Katie? Katie? Is she there?
That's fine.
Okay, 5 minutes. Come back. Okay? So if you want to get water, go to the ladies, go to the bathroom, anything you might need to
Did I
do.
answer that lady's question?
I think so.
Yes, you did. Thank
There you
very
go.
much,
Yeah.
Linda.
And we're so happy that you're joining us. This is not a, I want. Yes. So here we go. All right.
All right, be back.
Wise men say that rushing is violence, and so is your silence when it's rooted in compliance. to stand firm in loving defiance. Make Archer Alliance, give voice to the fire. Move people to the beat of the wind. Gather yourself and begin to dance the song until it ends. We are winners, champions of the light, forming in numbers and might. Keep the truth close in sight. Woman, medicine man, walking with grace. I know your face and I trust your hands. Medicine woman, medicine man, walking with grace. I know your face and I trust your hands. Find your teachers in the voice of the forests. Unplug, you can't ignore this wisdom of the voiceless. Remedies are bountiful and surround us, from the garden to the farthest. Prayer made of stardust. Find your healing in the music that calls you, the voice that enthralls you. What do you belong to? Eyes out, there's the setting of the sun. Give thanks to each and every one. The lesson is the medicine woman, medicine man, walking with grace. I know your face and I trust your hands. Medicine woman, medicine man, walking with grace. I know your face and I trust your hands.
And extending my trap strip back into the messages and action. The art is feeding, stop start the disbelieving, cause the garden holds the shards, the medicine is in the seeds. When we hold tight to our right to protect them, we know our might is tenfold in connection. Our elders hold them bright lights, we protect them. The medicine is evident, the wolf, the hawk, the bear clan. We hold tight to our right to protect them. We know our might is tenfold in connection. Our elders hold them bright lights, we protect them. The medicine is evidence, the wolf, the hawk, the medicine woman, medicine man, walking with grace. I know your face and I trust your hands. Medicine woman, medicine man, walking with grace. I know your face and I trust your hands.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you, Katie. Appreciate you. Linda?
I can't hear you. Just barely.
Can you hear me?
Hardly at all.
The speaker's on. Katie, can you check the sound?
The sound is perfect over here. It's
Now
on
I
your
can
side.
hear you. Now I can hear you.
Okay, good. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Conscious Heart Solutions. My guest, Linda McGillus. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you. So we can move into whatever is arising in you. We can free flow this. I know you wanted to talk about candle meditation or
Yes. You asked what is the best way for people to find out information. And I'm one that is always going to encourage only here. The physical body holds all information. And what so often occurs is you're taught to blank the conscious mind when you go into meditation. You're taught to go into meditation of the subconscious in a trance state. Again, connecting to angels, ascended masters, guides, and yet so often the information held within the body is negated. And all information you need is held within your body of any incarnation you have ever had. And for me, I don't teach or even guide anybody to go into a trance meditation. The purpose of awakening is to awaken to the information within the subconscious. To the linear human, you use 3 to 5% of your brain capacity. Science and everything else in your human world tells you that the rest of your brain is empty space, junk DNA, this, that, and the other. When you start to awaken to the information in the right brain hemisphere, which is known as the subconscious mind, you begin to expand the use of your brain capacity from 3 to 5%. You can expand it all the way to 100%. That's awakening. Awakening to all the information held within the brain rather than 3 to 5%. Now, in the candle meditation, and what I guide to do is to get an open flame candle. And just like this. And you want to do this with the flame at eye level. Now, this is going to serve 3 purposes. One, it's a conscious exercise, which means you're not going into a trance and taking yourself out of your conscious mind by going into your subconscious. You're actually going to train the brain hemispheres to work together. Now, when you go into traditional meditation to an Om space, again, you're tuning yourself out of the conscious mind. And you're blanking the conscious mind, but you're not blanking and stopping the matrix programming. To stop the matrix programming, you need to reach a space of absolutely no thought in your mind for 33 minutes. At 33 minutes, the subconscious matrix mind shuts down its programming. And so you want to train your mind to go blank for 33 minutes and then work your way up to like 45 minutes, because if any of you have ever shut down a computer, it takes a few moments for all of it to shut completely down. The purpose of shutting down the subconscious mind, not just the conscious mind, is you're shutting down the entire inverted matrix programming of the artificial intelligence that has been labeled rogue. So what I encourage people to do is get an open flame candle, have it eye level, keep your focus on the flame, your eyes wide open. Now, you don't want to go into a trance. You don't want to get lost in the flame. You don't want to do anything like that. This is conscious training of your mind to take back control of your mind and to take back control of the body that the mind operates from habitually and unconsciously. So I encourage everybody to set a timer twice a day for 30 minutes and focus your eyes on the flame. Eyes are the windows to the soul. Fire purifies. And to focus on deep prana breathing while you're staring at the flame. And this is discipline. Humans have operated from the 7 deadly virtues, one of them being sloth or laziness, lack of discipline. And this is going to take great diligence and perseverance and discipline. So twice a day for 30 minutes, you want to do this exercise, and you want to focus on that flame and focus your mental capacity on deep breathing. Every time you find your mind wanders to your bills, to your stresses, to your worries, to your daydreams, your fantasies, whatever it is, you want to consciously bring your focus back to that flame and back on your breathing. Now, when I started doing it, it took me doing it twice a day, practicing for 30 minutes each time. It took me 3.5 weeks to blank my mind for 5 minutes. Right now, you guys have a lot more support that will help you because we have already shut down the inverted matrix programming mental consciousness grid. So it will be easier to blank your mind, or rather quicker, if you actually use the discipline to do it. And it's discipline. It takes 21 days to form a new habit, meaning you have to consistently do it, because a habit is just a thought repeated, an action repeated over and over and over again. And the more you do it and work your way up to the 33 minutes to shut your subconscious brain down, in that moment, your body has nothing to operate from, because your body operates from your brain. And in that moment, because your body has now shut down the entire matrix programming computer, conscious and subconscious, your higher mind has absolutely no choice to kick in, because your body has to have an operating system to work on. And if you have shut down both hemispheres of your brain, then it kicks in your natural operating system, your soul blueprint, your higher mind. It's really crucial to not only imbalance yourself and only shut down your conscious mind. This is where you get so many that get out of balance because they choose the world of light versus and says the world of dark is bad. They're both bad in the world of good and evil, because they're both in a polarity contradiction. They're both distorted. And so the pendulum swing happens because you're only taught, the majority, to blank the conscious mind. And then you interdimensionally travel, you do this, you do that in the subconscious, which means you're getting even more distorted information because you're only in the subconscious programming of the matrix mind, not the higher mind. Which channeling, stuff like this, that's why they come in distorted, because you're coming through the filters that still reside within you. Once you train your mind to go blank for 33 minutes, only your higher mind can come online then. and it's not going to stay online. It's going to shut down, and the matrix mind will take over once again when you come out of that discipline and you start living your human life again, doing what you're doing. So in that, you're doing three things. One, you're taking your power, even if it is only for a few minutes after that 33 minutes, right? You're taking back your power over the matrix artificial intelligence that your body, or what I call the puppet master, and you're the puppet, your body. So as you do that, you're taking control absolutely over your mental capacity. You're taking responsibility for how it runs. And that's where you want to train your body to respond to your conscious actions versus your unconscious. Humans have operated from an unconscious that they've had no knowing of. The more you can do that into a practice every day, especially if you only want to do it once a day rather than twice a day, morning and night, you're going to want to do it at nighttime. When you go into dream time, your soul leaves your body, but your subconscious, your conscious mind may be sleeping and resting, but your subconscious is still generating. And as long as your subconscious mind is generating, you're unknown to what it's generating for your next experience and whatnot out here. If you blank your mind before you go to bed and you make the command, self, creator, angels, whoever you call upon, me, I just say, mighty I am presence, completely shut down all mental channels and ascended mental channels and allow no access to anyone. I don't let angels come in. I don't let archangels come in. I don't let ascended masters in my field at all. I do not play in those realms of distortion, and it's all distortion.
Okay.
And this will train you to trust only your innate in here, rather than channeling shadow aspects called archangels, ascended masters, angels, this, that, and the other. You have a direct source connection to source and only source. And that's what I encourage. You don't need ancestors, guides, angels, this, that, and the other, infiltrating you with different dimensional frequencies and vibrations of truth in my knowing.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you train your body, you take control over your mind and your body. When you go out into this world and you feel the different energies and you feel overwhelmed or you feel a panic attack are coming in, because you have trained your body and your mind in sync, all three, the Trinity, right brain, left brain, and heart. As you do that, you can start to breathe. When you feel panicked, you feel overwhelmed, you feel unstable, you feel confused, you can start breathing in your body because you have trained it at the same time you have trained your mind, right? Your body will calm down and will automatically tell your brain to now start slowing down, to calm down the panic that it's trying to go into. Because the information out here, energy, whatever it is actually the only reason you panic or get overwhelmed is because there's a different vibrational frequency of truth coming at you that goes against the information in your energy field that you're holding. And when you can let go.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That's very interesting. I've never heard that before. I mean, I sometimes get anxious and I definitely breathe and it subsides. I mean, I just do deep breathing and pull myself back into my heart space and my knowing that I'm safe and I'm
protected.
Able to protect myself. Yes. So that's lovely. But I didn't realize that, I didn't know that the anxiety comes from energy that we hold on to that's being.
Well, it's you got to remember in your toroidal field, you can liken your body to the sword of truth. Humans have used the sword of truth as a sword of protection.
Yeah.
Protection to defend their wounding inside. Protection to defend their belief system rather than truth. And in that, when you understand that you are the sword of truth, and you don't want to go to either side of the blade of the sword because you're going to get cut. You're either going to go to this side of the pendulum of the condensed light and you're going to get cut, or you're going to fall too much to this side in the world of light and false love, conditional love, and you're going to get cut. And so on your journey, it's to walk the middle road. In other words, your sword of truth blade is this big, and you need to walk between the two edges, because either way, you're going to get burned. You're going to get cut if you go too far off of that good red road, the middle road. That's why I say you don't want to choose the world of light. You don't want to choose the world of what is called dark. You want to stay right in the middle. The only place unconditional love exists is in neutrality. And humans hate neutrality. Neutrality is cold. It's not loving. It's all of these things because humans have never been taught neutrality. They have been taught they have to choose an either or belief system. It's either this or it's this. It's either black or it's white. It's either good or it's bad. A bipolar mentality. And when you awaken, truly awaken and embody knowing that love is unconditional and the only place unconditional love exists is in neutrality, that neutrality seems harsh. That neutrality of truth throws both sides of the pendulum off, because this side wants love to only be positive. This side wants love only to be condensed, conditional, negative, fear-based. And neither are correct. Because love does not choose either or. It does not only choose a positive existence. It does not choose only a negative existence. Creator does not choose. Creator does not see good. Creator does not see bad. Creator does not see evil. Only humans see it. Only humans define energy and limit it in any way, shape, or form. So, to what humans perceive as a rapist or a murderer is no different than stealing money off of your parents' nightstand. No different than someone, no different than if you had a dress on and the dress was fabulous, right? But it just did not fit your body style. It did not flatter you, but you really loved this dress, right? The human world would sit there and tell you, oh, beautiful, that dress looks fantastic on you. Because they don't want to hurt your feelings and tell you that really it's a beautiful dress, but it truly does not flatter your hips, right? And that white lie is no different than raping somebody. It's the same energy. It's deceitful. It's untrue.
May I step in for a minute?
Sure.
Well, I find that interesting you say that, because I've always been kind of tell it like it is. And if I think it doesn't look good on you, I don't have a problem saying, I'm sorry, Annie, but I know you really like it, but it doesn't fit you very well. You know, I've been pretty good in my journey of that, but I do appreciate that. I mean, I know that there definitely were, you know, I appreciate that, because a lot of people, that's that superficial type of where we think we have to be validated or we want to people please and so forth.
Right.
And, yeah.
But if you look at that,
or being kind to people, be nice, right? And I don't care for the word nice. Yeah.
If you look at things always from an energetic space, right? So to the human aspect of us, we don't see anything wrong. Oh, I don't want to hurt her feelings. She really wants. Oh, she has this date. She really wants to wear that dress and yada, yada, yada. But so I tell you it looks nice on you and we go out to this party, right? And now you have all these strangers and all these acquaintances and all this staring at you and this and that. And you have a couple of acquaintances come up and say, you know, you really shouldn't wear that dress. Mm-hmm. It's not flattering. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to come to me and you're going to feel very betrayed because I was your best friend and I didn't tell you the truth. I told you it looked good. So now we have betrayal. So what started out as what you intended to not be hurtful, right? Even though it was just a little white lie, now has magnified into an absolute betrayal energy. And now the whole friendship is now messed up because to the human, you were not honest with me. You betrayed me. I cannot trust you any longer. Therefore, I can't be your friend. And you abandon the friendship. Even though the intention could be considered in the human world admirable, you were helping your best friend. You follow me?
I absolutely follow you. I get it. Yeah.
So it has magnified, right? Something so little now is this big. But wait, that's just you two, right? But now, because you're butthurt because I betrayed you and didn't tell you something this big, now you go to your sisters, you go to your mom because you need to talk about it because you're so betrayed by me, right? So now we have a ripple effect. What started out as this, went to this, and now it's this. Because now you've gone to mom and sisters and your couple other friends that you just need to vent, you just need someone to talk to, you need to get it off of your shoulders. And now, because they know me, now they're not going to talk to me either because you betrayed her. How dare you? And now we have a ripple effect. So when you go to have to neutralize that karmic energy that you put out, even though I put out a little bit of this helping you and not information, it's really hard to become very neutral to life. And you know, the greatest gift you can give yourself truly is to strengthen your connection here and truly get control of your mind and your body. And you know, the lady asked about me writing books. You know, I've launched my website and will be doing a whole lot of.
I was just going to ask you, for those that aren't because I'm not trying to short you, but I don't want her to, I try to stay on, do what I've been asked. So can you share information where people can find you, information, if they're a website, anything that you want to share with the listeners where they can maybe contact you? I know that you do sessions. I've had one with you, and I would highly recommend people reach out if they want to, they want to have that one-on-one with you. And I think that's a great, so if you don't mind, share your information, and then we're going to have to,
I launched my website called Profundity Yours, and it's a community website along with being my website. And I will be doing all of my live streaming from there in here shortly, other than Facebook. And from there, I am opening an online academy where I will be putting my stuff not in books, but into courses, so people will be able to download them and do their own. Because, again, I have to stay neutral, otherwise I step out of truth. And so it's easier for people to digest truth at their own pace. And that's profundityyours.com.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that. Well, I also mentioned that if anybody wants to go back and re-listen to this, they're welcome to go to Conscious Heart Solutions, Aida Farhat, on YouTube, and re-listen to this, because it was a lot of information, a lot to take in at one time, and that way they can rewind it or go back and forth if they want. I would love to have you on again in the future. I hope that you'll come back on and be my guest again.
I'm honored. I would love to.
That's fabulous. Yes. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate you. I appreciate, I listen to your transmissions you on Facebook when you're live, and I read posts that you make, and it's just always gives me a good something to focus on, especially in the mornings when you come on and there's something to think about, or when you mention about galactic stuff, or what's it called, like full moons, when we're having full moons, and you'll explain what's going on with them, and
and
different
what
stuff we share.
come up.
Yep. And we have one coming up Saturday, Virgo. Yeah. So I'll be looking to listen and hear what you have to say about that. You have a fabulous night. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on, and we'll end it there. Have a good night.
You too, beautiful. Have a good night.
All right.
Blessings to all.
Blessings to you.